can't daven normally, so I stopped. Peretz is in the house. Yes. Okay. So anyways, so that's the first thing. Just because it started recording now, so we'll just repeat.
This is the way we hold. This is the way we hold.
And if you're an Einus, what?
This is the way we hold. It's better to daven alone in a shul than with a minyan at a chasana.
Oh, is that the way we hold? No, we don't hold like that. But it's a strong.
We don't hold like this.
It's a strong havamina.
Okay, no, but we don't hold like this anymore.
Now, one second. Correct. 1 second. That's assuming that you could concentrate at a chasana, which I believe is not a normal place to daven. It's not. It's absolute. Obviously, depending where. Like Square has a separate shul you could daven in, and sometimes they make, if you have a separate chuppah room, so you could daven in there. You know what I mean? You could concentrate. But the ones that are in the hallways, it's not a way to daven. I don't believe it's a way to daven, and I would say it's probably better to daven yichidus at home. Forget it. And a shul for sure better. But that's something that everybody's gonna have to take into account for themselves. What concentration is more important or not. Anyways, the point is that from the Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't sound like it's a chi of mamish. However, I don't have it on me, but Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zechron L'Rocha, said that this Shulchan Aruch is lav dafka, and Rav Moshe Feinstein says that we are absolutely chayiv to daven with a minyan. This yishtadel is a little misleading. And he says you're chayiv to daven with a minyan. Okay, so it's not optional. It's not optional. That's the way Rav Moshe Feinstein says it, and that seems to be the way that the world has adopted it. Now, there's a little bit of a proof to what Rav Moshe Feinstein says, because if you go a little bit later, so the Shulchan Aruch says, where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Wait, Rav Moshe Feinstein says it's a chiyuv. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. You good? Yeah. Go ahead.
Rav Moshe Feinstein says it's a chiyuv to daven in a shul, even without a minyan, with a minyan.
Well, with it, he says you're mechuyev. And this lashon Shulchan Aruch that says yishtadel, which means that you should try. He says no. It means that you're chayiv. You are chayiv to daven with a minyan. Not that it's nice that you should try to get to the minyan. And the truth is, it's proven a little. If you look in Yud Aleph, it says Mishnah Yesha Beisa Knesses Bira. If you have a shul in your city, and you don't go there to daven, Nikra Shochen Ra, you are called a bad neighbor. V'goyrim Galus Layu Lebanov, and you will cause you and your children to go into Galus. Okay, so there it sounds like hey, you got a shul in your town, then you have to go there to daven.
Who are you quoting there? Who are you quoting?
That's the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch.
Oh, just the Shulchan Aruch. Okay.
Yeah. Now.
You're just the Shulchan Aruch.
Right.
No, I understand. It's not just the Shulchan Aruch. I understand that, right. I'm saying as opposed to it's not Rav Moshe Feinstein.
Correct. It's not Achronim. It's not Achronim after that. It's not contemporaries. It's Shulchan Aruch. Correct. 100%. Now, later on in Shulchan Aruch it says, I can't find it, where it says you're required to go 1 mil out of your way to find a minyan, which we say is 18 minutes. You're required to drive 18 minutes to go find the minyan. Meaning, let's say before the days we had Boston here, right? For that we had all these minyanim for Myra. So let's say the last minyan in Myra, let's say it was 10 o'clock. And then it's 10:30 and you missed all the minyanim. So you would be required, Shulchan Aruch says you're required.
Yaakov, you could do like Peretz. He drove to Landau's once or what?
There you go. That's okay. So that he's not mechuyev to do because that's further than 18 minutes. You're required to go 18 minutes in each direction in order to get a minyan. And if it's in a direction that you're traveling anyways, then you have to go 72 minutes in the direction that you're driving in order to down with the minyan. So from there, it seems very strong that you have to down with your minyan. Okay. Now that being said, Rav Moshe Feinstein does entertain, and this is Pasha the halacha, that if you could concentrate better by davening alone, then you should daven alone and not with a minyan. That's for sure. Concentration is the utmost. That's what davening is for. Davening is to.
Yaakov, does that apply after post-corona as well?
Why not?
I'm just asking.
Yes, 100%. The halacha. Now, 1 second. Don't tune out now. I'm just saying the halacha is pashut that if you could concentrate better than going to shul, then you should daven at home. Meaning, if the only shul in town that you have is a bunch of guys that daven 100 miles an hour and they're schmoozing and then they're on their phones and you can't concentrate, then you certainly should not go there. And it's better for you to daven at home. However, Rav Moshe Feinstein says, and this is the way we paskin, he says that, by the way, if you're interested in finding the Igros Moshe, it's in Chelik Gimel Siman Zayin. Chelik Gimel Siman Zayin is, if you have the Uvalech Chavadderech app, they have the Igros Moshes on Archaim there. It's very easy to find. But Igros Moshe Chelik Gimel Siman Zayin, where he says that it's very nice and it's true that if you could concentrate better at home, then you should daven at home. However, we are not confident in our concentration abilities nowadays to consider ourselves on that level, and therefore he says you got a much better chance of getting to a minyan. And,
wait.
What?
You go. No, you go.
Somebody mute themselves, please. Anyways, he says that nobody should have the confidence that they're davening alone with their concentration is so good that it beats davening with a minyan, because the mila with a minyan is that your tefillas get accepted with the minyan a lot better and a lot faster than if you do it by yourself. So therefore he said it's not worth the risk of davening by yourself without davening and not davening with a minyan. You got a much better chance of your tefillas being accepted if you daven with the minyan. Okay?
Who's saying that?
So
Who's
that's
saying
basically
that?
Rav Moshe
said
Feinstein
that?
says that.
Rav
Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe Feinstein. Igros Moshe. Yeah?
Okay.
But he does say that theoretically, if you knew that your davening was better, 100%, then that is more important than the minyan. But he says nowadays we don't have that level of concentration, so therefore we don't do that. Okay? So nobody should do that. There are some big chashuvim that do that. But they're very chashuv people, and some rebbes do it, but you have to really be something else to do that. Okay, now getting to this whole, now how do you define a minyan? How do you define what's a minyan? So this is in Siman Nun Hey in Orach Chaim. Okay. And here it's very interesting because the way it comes out, it's a little bit confusing. Okay. Sif Yud Gimel. I'll just read it quickly, right? So it says in Sif Yud Gimel, Siman Nun Hey, Sif Yud Gimel in the Shulchan Aruch. Now we're talking Shulchan Aruch. It says Tzarich Shiyu Kol HaAsara B'Makom Echad. You need the whole minyan to be in one place. The Shliach Tzibur Imahem, and the Shliach Tzibur needs to be with them. And somebody who's standing in the doorway of the room, from the doorway towards the outside. Meaning, if a guy's standing in the door, let's say you're 10th man. This sometimes happens in Loyalenu and Oval's minyan, right? So you have the minyan there, and one guy standing in the doorway. So if we look at it, it's like if you close the door, this man would be he would be on the outside of the door, then he's not included in the minyan, and therefore it's not considered a minyan in the room. It's as if he's outside the room. Okay? So therefore you need to have 10, it's very clear, you need to have 10 in one room, right? Yeah, so that's Sif Yud Gimel. Now Yudalid is, which seems to be a little confusing because it sounds like everybody has to be in one room. Then Yudalit says, let's say somebody's standing outside the shul, but there's a window outside the shul. Even if that window is many, many stories high, even if it's not 4 wide, and you could see his face, Misham, from the window, you could see his face. Then he could combine to 10. Okay, you hear what it's saying now? So I got a shul. I got 9 guys. Let's say let's not say a shul. Let's say I got 9 guys davening outside, and 1 guy's in the window, and we could see that guy. So therefore, you can combine that guy with the minyan. Okay. Now, what is that? We just got finished saying everybody has to be in one place. Yeah, you hear what I'm saying? Again, not me, what the Shulchan Aruch is saying. Shulchan Aruch first says everybody has to be in the same room. Then he says that 1 guy, you could have 1 guy just looking from a window. As long as he could see everybody, he combines. As long as they could see each other, then he combines. So how does it work? So the answer is very simple.
B'diavad.
What? No, not b'diavad. No, not even.
Yaakov, according to that shita, why can I be mitzvah with Zoom?
No, you have to be able. Well, that would be a real extension of the seeing, but I haven't heard of any poskim say that you could use Zoom to see. I haven't heard anybody say that. Right?
Well, it's like Mizuman. You could be mitzvah from Mizuman if you just see the guy.
Ah, very
You
good.
You don't need bread. So what are you talking about? You don't need bread. You don't need bread or cake. So what are you talking about in Zeman?
I was waiting for
Horowitz got me again.
That's why he knows about it. He knows about it because it's easy for him to discuss making because it doesn't have to do with him. You know what I mean? So anyway, so the difference is that in Yud Gimel, when they all have to be in the same room, that's talking about where they don't see each other. Let's say you have a big shul, or the shul is like an L-shaped. If they can't see each other, as long as they're in the same room, that's enough. But if they could see each other, then they can combine. Right? Like Shlomi Friedman saying, then they can combine. Now,
not in the same room.
What?
You're
if
saying
they're not in the same room, they don't have to see each other. You want to combine them and they don't see each other, then they have to be in the same room. If you want to combine them and they're not in the same room, then they have to see each other. Or
so the guy in the doorway. It's the guy in the doorway, as long as you could see him then. Even though he's outside the room.
Correct. Correct. Very good. So if you could see the guy in the doorway, then he works. Then the guy in the doorway you can combine him to be part of the minyan. Right? Fine. So that's that. Now where do we learn this from? We learn this from Mizuman, from the halachas of Mizuman. Okay? This halacha by Mizuman, okay? Now, it says this, I won't turn that's another favorite of Mishnah Berurah, but the halacha by Mizuman says that if you have 2 groups in 2 different houses, right? You got 2 guys sitting in one house, and then 2 guys sitting in one, and 2 guys sitting in another house. Let's say 2 and 2 sitting in a house, but they could see each other. Then they could combine and they can make a Mizuman with each other. Okay?
They don't even have to see each other.
No, they should.
They just have to have the same. They just have to have the same waiter.
Well, okay, that's a different story. We're not going to go on that. If they have the same waiter, then that also would work. But assuming they don't have a waiter, right? So then they have to see each other. They have each one. As long as they see each other, they can combine. So we learn out from there to davening. That would be the same thing, just like by Mizuman, by Birchas Hamazon. If they see each other, it's okay. So too by Tefillah, if they see each other, it's also okay.
Well, you're saying see each other again through the window by Mizuman? That works?
Yes.
So the
by
group
Mizuman, it works.
The group is in. Okay.
Yeah, that works. I mean, it's hard to believe it. It works.
Meaning they have to be close enough to hear each other.
Yeah, well, if you can't make a Mizuman unless you hear each other, right? But they just have to see each other. Yes, they have to see. They have to be able to see, and obviously they have to hear each other when they're going to make the Mizuman, right? Okay.
Rabbi, now, can I ask a question, Rabbi?
Sure thing.
A guy who's davening in the second floor of the building, if a guy's davening in the hall and he can see everything that's going on, is he considered part of the minyan?
Well, so that's part of the question. Does he need to see them or do they need to see him? Right?
Well, if the door's open, let's say.
They have to be able to see him. That's what it is. They have to be able to see him. Right?
So
Okay.
you can't be hiding in the Ezra's Noshim.
Let's say more exactly. What happens if you have 9 in the shul and 1 in the ladies section? Does he combine or not? So as long as you could see him, he combines. Although the Mishnah Brura says that he should come downstairs. If you can, he should come downstairs. Because this whole comparison is not so simple. Right? Because there are many that say that the comparison between making a mezuman for benching and davening with a minyan is not a comparison. And therefore, you cannot learn it out from mezuman. It's something exclusive to Birchas HaMazon, and that's it. Okay? So, since there are many that disagree...
So it is b'diavad.
What?
So it is b'diavad.
That's what we're going to discuss. Then the Mishnah Brura says, in the Biur Halacha, if anybody has a Mishnah Brura, the Biur Halacha in Nun Hey, and the bottom there, he says it's still, though, you should still be machmer, because he says even in Birchas HaMazon, the whole din of Birchas HaMazon is based on a rashba. I know I'm getting a little technical, but it's really not that complicated. It's based on a rashba, and the rashba, when he said his din, he said it efshar. He says maybe the halacha is like that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Now the Rashba by Birchas HaMazon says maybe it could combine, right? So now basically, so what do you have here? You have by Birchas HaMazon, even though the Shulchan Aruch does paskin by Birchas HaMazon that they combine, but it's based on a Rashba who says maybe they combine. And then to take it on top of that, many disagree with the Shulchan Aruch, right? And say that you can't even compare davening to Birchas HaMazon. Okay? So therefore, we have ourselves quite a few leniencies that we're relying on to make a minyan outdoors. Again, one, you got to rely on the opinion that it works by Birchas HaMazon, which the Shulchan Aruch paskins like. Then you have to say that you have to rely on the opinions that say that even if it works by Birchas HaMazon, it works by Tefillah B'tzibur. Okay? Which not everybody agrees to that. Then, fine. So that's that. Now, to make things a little bit more complicated, it's not really complicated, but by Birchas HaMazon, the Shulchan Aruch is very clear, and he says that if there's a street in between the people, then they cannot make a mezuzah. Meaning, if you're eating 2 guys and then next door to the house next door there's 2 guys, then you could combine. But if it's 2 guys on this side of the street and 2 guys on the other side of the street, they cannot combine for Birchas HaMazon. Okay?
Even if they see each other?
Even if they see each other. Okay? And the Taz says that it doesn't necessarily have to be a public thoroughfare. It could even be a sidewalk or a walkway. That would also negate the mezuman from being combining. Okay? So let's take it to the next step. Okay, good. You're on the ball tonight. I would say you must have had your Wheaties, but not a chance. You must have had your fruit. Okay. Yeah.
You have an avocado that put him over.
You must have had a good avocado. Must have been a lot of Fine.
I had a good avocado.
Okay, here you go. Send some my way. Okay. You got it. So now you have these minyanim. Now the same thing would apply. So if you have what about a porch? The porch minyanim. So if the porches are on the same side of the street, okay. So then we already say as long as they could see each other. Now a lot of these porches, they can't really see each other. Maybe if they all look over the porch and you have one chazan down on the bottom, so then it works, right? So basically, Nielsen Street, the building on the corner of Nielsen and Dinsmore has been having a minyan, right? But it was l'chayra, it was not against any of the rules. I'm talking about before they came out with the rules on Friday that you could have out to minyanim. They sent me pictures of it. Basically, they had one guy standing in the middle of the courtyard, right? That building there is apartments all around it.
Right.
So basically, they had one guy in the courtyard, and everybody would stand by their windows of their apartments, so they could all see the chazan, and the chazan could all see them. They may not be able to see each other, but they could at least all see the chazan, and the chazan could see them. And they made a minyan. They made minyan like that. Right?
So you're saying
so now
outdoor?
Well, they were doing
outdoor minyanim are now okay to have.
The rabbis on Friday came out and said you could have out. On Friday, the rabbis said you can make outdoor minyanim. Yes, they said that. Outdoor minyanim, but not only each person on their property. You can't go off your property.
Can the minyan be across both streets?
That's what we're talking about.
I know. So what was the answer?
What do you mean both streets?
I have both sides of the street. Can the minyan itself?
If you can't do it for benching, how could you do it for minyan?
Right. So
benching is a deraisa.
No, but benching no. Good,
so you
good,
can't do it. So you can't do it for the rabbanim.
No, the rabbanim maybe is easier.
No, but it's not like this. The whole din by davening comes from Birchas Hamazon, right? The whole combining din doesn't say anything about by davening. It says it by Birchas Hamazon. And then we say, since it says about Birchas Hamazon, we could also apply it to davening. But if it doesn't work at Birchas Hamazon, then it's not going to work for davening. Right? So,
doesn't matter the size. Doesn't matter the size of the street.
No. The Taz says even if it's a pathway, it's no good. Okay. Now that's the basic reading. However, it's getting late already. So, however, there are poskim that allow everything. They allow across the street, and they allow from one building to the next building, and they can't as long as one could see each other. There are coolers for everything. To which the poskim seemingly are saying that you could rely on that because people haven't davened with a minyan for months, and they're saying that we're going to rely on whatever coolers we can to daven with a minyan. That's what the poskim are saying. What I'm just trying to bring out is that it's not so simple to just make a minyan. Across the street is certainly not simple, right? To make a minyan across the street is certainly not simple. If you go, everybody just goes out to their yard and on the same side of the street. I don't see what should be the problem with that, right? Because they're all equal and they're all on the same side.
There's a minyan on my block that's on both sides of the street.
Right. So they're relying on major leniencies. They're relying on major leniencies to make that minyan. Meaning on a normal circumstance, meaning Be'ezus Hashem, in a couple of months from now, whatever it is, when they cleared up from COVID, if you call up a rabbi and say, you know what, Matzah Shabbos, we're too lazy to go to shul, although it doesn't apply on your street because you got the shul right there. But let's say
everybody open the window.
Open the window. Everybody goes down to their yard, and we're going to make a minyan across the street. There is not a rabbi in the world that would allow it. Nobody, as far as I know, there's not a rabbi in the world that would allow it.
I davened on my deck, and they were literally across the street on the other side of the street.
Right. So for COVID, for this situation, the poskim are saying that you can rely on that. To which I've been texting out. I'm not chas v'shalom. I'm not anybody to argue on the poskim 100%. But if it's cold outside, and this gets back to what we were starting with, and I think this is pashut. If it's cold outside and you can't concentrate, then there's absolutely no reason for you to go out there. The minyan kemat doesn't work anyways, according to almost all the poskim. So it works according to a few. So for you to ruin your davening just to be able to be part of this minyan, I believe is not the right thing to do. And again, everybody has to know themselves. On my level of concentration, I'll daven even in a wedding hall. It's not going to make much difference to me. I'm talking about for the real erlich people that are out there that really concentrate on their davening. If you can't concentrate, so this is not really it's a minyan. I'm not, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is not a minyan, right? But if you could concentrate better inside, Ramosha finds it when he's saying that we don't trust our concentration, That's to go to a shul, to daven in a shul with a minyan, and that's it's a normal situation, and you should be able to have an uplifting davening. But if you spend half the davening freezing cold and you can't concentrate, or there's cars going by, or there's this and that, so then why do you have to make yourself crazy to do that? That's what I believe is the right thing, is the proper thing. Right? Now the problem becomes when you're the 10th guy. Let's say you feel that you want to daven inside, or let's say something else. They tell you that over 70 or whatever, 60, 70, whatever ages they're saying, 50, it's a sakana, you shouldn't daven with a minyan. So
that means a lot of rabbis won't be davening with minyan?
Yaakov, careful. This is a different age demographic than the daven.
I understand, but I got at least I looked the part. You know what I mean? So, so I'm saying if they're saying even a doubt, then why put yourself at risk for a minyan that really doesn't work? Now, one of the big poskim in Lakewood, Rabbi Felder, right? He's from the big poskim in Lakewood, and he said if you're going to be a chazan in one of these minyanim, like on the porches, right? First thing he says to do is if you're going to do chazaras hashatz, he should do hoicha kedusha, because he says Baruch Hu is not an issue. Baruch Hu Yeshmei Rabbah, 10 people on the other side of the street, not so bad. But saying chazaras hashatz could be a bracha levatala. If you go that these people don't combine, he brings proofs that for Baruch Hu and Yeshmei Rabbah, it's not so bad to combine. It's not anything like that. But to make chazaras hashatz, when it's a minyan across the street or in different properties, he says that's already you're getting into suffix. We know that the klal is suffix brachas, we're makel with, right? So to go do chazaras hashatz in this type of situation is shver. So you can't just make a minyan though and do Yesh Mei Rabbah and Baruch Hu and then not do chazaras hashatz. So what he says to do is for mincha for sure do a haifa kedusha. Like this, it's not a bracha levatala because there is no chazaras hashatz. And the first part until kedusha, he says he's doing that anyways, right? So there's no risk of bracha levatala for the chazan. What about on Shabbos? Shabbos we don't do a kedusha. So now, or he says another option is that the chazan before he starts chazaras hashatz should say that if this minyan doesn't work according to halacha, then I'm giving an extra tefillah, making a tefillah nedava to Hashem. So like this, it shouldn't be a bracha levatala. Then he says, and this is the big thing.
That's an eitzah all year round.
Some people should do that all year round, because certainly you should do that all year round if you have 10 people in your minyan and that's it, right? But yeah, some people do it always because not everybody concentrates and listens to chazaras hashatz. But what about on Shabbos? Shabbos, you don't have either one of these options. So he says that it's better.
On when?
Shabbos and Yom Tif. Shabbos and Yom Tif, he doesn't have this choice. So he says that the chazan should stay quiet and not daven the silent Shemona Esrei and just daven chazaras hashatz. I'm saying that's the extent that he feels that it's risky with the bracha levatala part. He's not saying not to make them minyanim, make them minyanim, but these are the things that that you should try and do.
He sounds like somebody who has uses his brain.
Sounds like it, right? Yeah. Sounds like it.
What about switching the chazan?
What'd you say?
What about switching the chazan? Let one person daven silent and then another person change him for chazara.
Well, did that person daven silent Shemona Esrei? No. So if he didn't daven silent Shemona Esrei, okay. So if he didn't daven
if he didn't daven, yeah.
No. So if he didn't daven silent Shemona Esrei, so then it doesn't make a difference. We don't like to switch chazan anyways. It's not great to switch chazan, but yeah. Anyway, so that's. I hope. Are we clear now with the doubts of the minyan?
So you haven't, by me personally, so I should not daven with that minyan. Just on the other side of the street.
Right. So it's very doubtful. There's a lot of fakers whether that minyan works. Correct. Okay. But the question is, what does it hurt? You're not the chazan, so what does it hurt to daven on your porch? I'm saying if it works, it works. It doesn't work, it doesn't work. Right. So you could say that unless you say that the risks of going outside, if somebody is immunosuppressed, right? So then if some say that, so then, but there's no, as long as you're not the chazan, there's not much loss. Okay? So now I tell you, interesting shayla guy asked me today. So what happens if you have a seder? Like let's say right now we're having the shir, right? And what time is it now? So it's 8:45, 8:47. Let's say there's a minyan for Ma'ariv 8:30 outside, and you have a shir that you go to every week. Should you stop the shir to daven or not?
Oh, that's a good question.
No.
So that's a question. That's a question you have
Well,
always.
I just missed Meyer for this year.
Okay, good.
I hope I did the right thing.
So we'll find out right now. So now.
You did not miss Ma'ariv. You missed the outdoor minyan.
Ah, very good. Okay, that's well said.
Well, I only have 1 minute. I can't go off my block.
Don't worry. You have your own.
Anyways,
What?
no, but the question. So normally, so to have a once a week share, that's already more complicated question, because if you have a share once a week, so then that's already more, to miss minyan for that. But let's say a guy has night seder every night. So a guy texted me today. He said his son has night seder for his yeshiva, right? But his son is the 10th man for the minyan outside. What should he do? Stop the learning of the night seder, or the 10th man? So if it was the 11th man, I would ask him, how's the minyan? Is it on porches? Is it across the street? If it would be on porches, across the street, anything like that, I would tell him 100% learn and daven by yourself later. The problem was that this guy was the 10th man for this minyan.
What,
So
this yeshiva kid?
Yeshiva kid, yeah. So I asked him if he can go out to the minyan and learn to be the 10th man, but he should continue learning or listening to the shir from his Rebbe while he stands outside and is the 10th man. And then later he'll daven alone. So he said, yeah, he could do that. So I said, okay, so then that's the right thing to do. You shouldn't, for an outdoor minyan, certainly, it's a question whether you should stop your learning in order to daven Ma'ariv with a minyan anyways. But certainly, if it's an outdoor minyan that works only Shasat Chak, that's for sure not going to be Daicha Limarat Torah or a Kviyas of Torah. Right? Yeah? Now, fine. So that's basically halachas of the minyan. Now, let's just say, so now one thing we also know, and just we'll end with that. I know it's a little late. We'll go 2 more minutes because I feel it's important. And I want to give my nephew a little bit more time to make faces into the screen if anybody's noticing it. So anyway, you can guess whose kid it is. But anyway, so so now we have obviously a big disagreement amongst doctors as to whether these outdoor minyanim, even if they're on their own property, is safe or it's not safe.
I don't think that's what the question is. I think there's a question between whether doctors feel that isolating ourselves is correct or not, because there's many that feel that us isolating ourselves is not the correct.
It's going to make it worse. Is it going to make it worse?
Most of the people are not isolated. Most of the people are going out for walks or different things.
Yeah, but they're not anywhere close to each other that can build up an immunization. Okay, I don't want to get involved with the
herd immunity.
That whole issue. But the bottom line is that if we have a machlokes amongst doctors, okay, so in Shulchan Aruch, and this is in Chelik Vav in Hilchos Yom Kippur, okay, so the Shulchan Aruch says, if you have a chayla who needs to eat, so if there's a bucky, if a roife bucky, meaning a doctor who knows what he's talking about, even if he's a guy, and he says that if the person doesn't eat on Yom Kippur, his life is going to be in danger, then we listen to that doctor, right? That's push, okay? That's one sif. Now what happens then? The next sif is that on Yom Kippur, if you have one doctor who says he needs to eat, and one doctor says he doesn't need to eat, then what's the din? You give him to eat, right? So if you have a 50-50 disagreement, one doctor says yes, one doctor says no, you listen when life is in danger, and when the doctor says life is in danger, you go with the doctor who says that he should eat. Okay? Now, what happens if then the next case in Shulchan Aruch, well, there's one other case, and then there's the next case. If 2 doctors say he needs to eat, okay? Afilu meya oimrim ein tzarech. You have 100 doctors that say he does not need to eat on Yom Kippur. Now, let's get this clear. Yom Kippur is a chi of kares, and it's from the biggest averos to eat on Yom Kippur. So again, 2 doctors say he has to eat. and 100 doctors say no, and even if the chayla himself says, I don't need to eat, I'm good to fast, you feed him. Okay? Because 2 doctors is considered enough to listen to.
How come we don't go Basar Roiv over there?
Because Pikuach Nefesh. Pikuach Nefesh. Okay? So now, we definitely have more than 2 expert doctors who are saying that it is Pikuach Nefesh to make Minyanim outside. Correct? And now we're talking about Minyan. We're talking about Minyan, which we said is debatable whether you're even required to go to Minyan, but we said you do have to go to Minyan. But the Mishnah Berurah is very clear, and he says that you don't even have to be sick to not go to Minyan, even if somebody is just weak, not weak sick. He doesn't have strength. He does not have to go to Minyan. You're telling me that we should not listen to 2 doctors versus, let's say it's even 100, even though now I would say that the doctors is probably split on this subject. Right?
But according to this Mishnah Berurah, almost any elderly person would not go to Minyan.
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
Would not be mechuyev to go to Minyan.
If he doesn't have the strength, he's not mechuyev, and he should just daven at the same time that the Minyan is. Okay, so the point is that good. Whether, again, I don't want to get into what the Rabbanim decide not to decide, but the bottom line is even if they've decided that you couldn't make out to a Minyanim, you are not required to go to that minyan if you feel that it's unsafe, right? I think that we could all clearly, right? I'm not saying anything myself. I'm just reading the Shulchan Aruch, right? If again 2 say it's a sakana and 100 say it's not a sakana, you go with the 2, and that's for Yom Kippur. On a minyan, it's a whole lot more lenient, right? So if you feel that it's unsafe to go outside, you don't have to feel guilty whatsoever. And that's what the place can do. Say you are not, even if you have this outside your house, and you feel it's the wrong thing for whatever reason, then you are not required to go to that minyan. There is no requirement whatsoever. That is the way I see it in the Shulchan Aruch, and that's all. So now, why did the Rabbanim decide that an outdoor minyanim, if everybody's on their own property? I think the basic reason they decided is because the state who's made everybody stay inside, said that it's no issue if everybody stands on their own property and they could daven. So basically they're saying that the state is going with the doctors that say that it's not dangerous, even though there are doctors that disagree with the state. That's why the rabbis, I think, are allowing it. But the bottom line is there are many doctors who are telling the state that this is incorrect. Maybe they know the Jewish community and they know that they're going to cheat on these minyanim. That's a different story. But anyways, again, that's the sugya. So davening with a minyan, we hold is just to review the whole thing.
Yaakov, that's a bigger problem, but we don't have that kind of time.
What?
That they knew that we're going to cheat on it, no?
Okay, could be that's the Jewish doctor saying it. So maybe the Goyim don't understand that so much. It could be. Okay, I don't want to get, this is just a halacha shir just to get the sugi. Everybody understands where we stand. Again, minyan from Shulchan Aruch, it's debatable whether you're required to, but Rav Moshe Feinstein says you are required to. Even if you think you'll concentrate better at home, you're required to go to minyan. However, if you're an oinus, to which the Mishnah Berurah says that means if you don't have strength and you're potter from minyan. Then we said that to combine minyanim just by seeing each other works, but it's based on Birchas Hamazon. If there's a street in between you or even a path in between you, really very unclear whether that even works. And then we had with the doctors that you go with 2 doctors over 100. Okay, the oilam should stay safe. I'm sorry if we went a little overtime, and it's, hopefully next week.
I ask you
yeah.
A very quick question. Okay, so can I assume in terms of davening outside now with an outside minyan? So in other words, you're saying they say that as long as you stay on your own property, but you have to be able to see each other?
Correct.
No matter how far away it is.
Well, yeah. As long as you can see each other, then it works.
What?
Yeah.
Is a person required to answer Ameni Ish Merabo or rather Kaddish Kedusha if they see a minyan that is not according to the guidelines?
If it's not according to the guidelines, then the minyan it's wrong. It's wrong. They shouldn't.
What? And it's possible. It's completely possible, and the person should not answer.
I believe that it is, but it's hard to say that because not every rabbi agrees and It's tough to say. I would say that you should not. Yes, certainly you should not be part of that minyan if it's not listening to the guidelines.
Yeah, but I'm saying you walking on the street and you hear the minyan.
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's a good question.
You mentioned even a path. You know my street, Willow Court. If we're having it both sides, is that an issue?
No, so your street is better because since there's one entrance in and one entrance out, and they close the fence.
So what's it? Jaco, so then mine and Aaron Horowitz also works well.
No, because you don't have an ability to close it. They have a fence.
We close it sometimes on Shabbos.
Theirs isn't a street. It's more of a courtyard.
It's like a private street. They call it a street. Yeah, you're right. It's a path. It's not great either. It's really not great. Not great either.
The Chazan stands in the middle.
Yeah, it's still not. It's not great, but it's better because it's really a private street. It's not really meant to be a public thoroughfare. They gave it the name of a street, but it's not really a street.
We own it.
Okay, so there you go. So then it's already much more private.
Okay.
But it's still not great. It's still better you have a minyan on each side.
Okay.
Hope to be able to have a minyan mitzumtzum real soon. So if you have a minyan mitzumtzum, what is this declaration that you say before so that you're not making a bracha levatala? I hope to get there again.
What, to a minyan mitzumtzum?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I hope that the minyanim have more than mitzumtzum. Again, minyan mitzumtzum is exactly 10. That's
right.
Right. So you want to hopefully have bigger minyanim. We're shooting for bigger minyanim.
You know, up where the goats are, sometimes we're only 10. So what's the deal if what's this declaration just in case somebody don't pay attention, so you're not making.
So that's what you should do. You don't have to actually declare it, but you just have it in your head that if they don't pay attention and they're not answering amen, then you are having in mind that this is a present. Meaning, a guy can daven as many times a day as you want. If you offer it as a present to Hashem, it's like a voluntary davening. So you could do that if you'd like. So we don't do that because
this is something we say.
Is no good.
So this is something you do personally, but it's not something that you necessarily have to say to everybody that's in the room.
No, you don't say no. Normally we don't do these tefillahs because, like we said, our concentration levels are lousy, so we don't do voluntary tefillahs. But in this situation where you're doing it anyways, so then it doesn't hurt to make this tonight and say, if everybody answers and I'm supposed to do this, then that's what it is. And if they're not, so then this is a present.
Got it. Thank you.
Now, normally, I would daven b'yechidus now before going on the daf. But now that we have a minyan, so now I can't daven now because I got to do the minyan at 10 o'clock outside, freezing and all that. Okay, what are you going to do?
And we're very grateful. And we're very, Yaakov, and we're very grateful that the minyan's at 10 because we know the daf is over by then.
All right. Listen, I'm sorry you don't enjoy the daf.
I'm joking.
Yeah, no, it's fine by me. It's all good. I didn't get this far with having a thin skin. Anyways, any more questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully next week, Be'ez Hashem, we'll do some halachas of Yom Tif and stuff because coming up for Shavuos. All right.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe, everybody. It's good to see you. Be much.
Have a good week.
Thank you, Yaakov. Thank you very much.
Nice seeing
Thank
everybody.
You,
no problem, everybody. Stay safe.
Well, parrots, it's just us yet?
Oh, I can never get out of this darn thing. See now. I got to hit the leave. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Parrots will know. Parrots.